club I want to speak about first, actually, more than anything at the moment, it might surprise you, but it's Chelsea.
Ooh.
Today, Maresca had a press conference where, because you guys, you know about what he said before the Everton win, where he was like, prior to the Everton win, it was like the worst 48 hours of my time at the club. Do you know about this?
Why?
So this is the thing, is basically after they beat Everton 2-0, they hadn't won in at least 4 games, and then they beat Everton 2-0, clean sheet, secured, Malo Gusto scoring his first senior goal, getting an assist, all done and dusted. Cole Palmer back on the scoring and everything, so it felt like fine. Then Maresca comes out after the press conference and goes, I'm glad we won, because that was the worst 48 hours of my time at Chelsea. And everyone goes, what? Why are you saying that now? And then he just didn't really clarify it. And it was really, really bizarre. So then in the press conference today, obviously that's what you're going to get asked about. Yeah. And it's, have you spoken to the board about your comments? Have you had any sort of conversations about your future here? And the press conference feed kept cutting out whenever a question got asked. And so it's since come out that Chelsea saying, it was technical problems. But the timing was very, very funny. And so I asked a friend of mine who runs an account called Absolute Chelsea. Great. If you are a Chelsea fan, go check Absolute Chelsea out on Twitter and everything. So I asked him, what's the lowdown on this? And he basically said, Maresca basically kept getting asked who his comments were about, who his comments were aimed at, and he refused to budge and say who it was really about. He always just says, I've already spoken, I've made it quite clear, blah blah blah. Kind of like, when Amorim after the Grimsby game was like, my players have spoke very loud, it's made clear, but it's not clear at all. He says he loves Chelsea's support and the fans, and hinted at the club's high standards, so obviously was aimed at someone internally. Then Matt Law, who I believe is Daily Telegraph, like Chelsea's Daily Telegraph guy, has come out with, sources believe Maresca has become fed up with having to explain himself internally at Chelsea, and that he doubts whether or not some of those in control actually trust him.
Wow.
And then, so it's looking like Chelsea, obviously they're in the top 4 race at the moment. They're kind of, we maybe have pitched them initially as title contenders. Obviously that's not what's happened. They're not title contenders, at least at the moment. They were for about half an hour until they lost. Well, they drew with Arsenal, and then they lost against Leeds, and it was kind of like Chelsea were out the race a bit. But it does seem to look like, Malo Gusto's second goal. Thank you for the correction in the comments. But it does seem like Maresca's getting increasingly frustrated at Chelsea, despite the fact that they've, to some extent backed him and he's won a couple trophies with them. But it does seem like it's kind of potentially only heading in one direction now.
Out the door.
Yeah, potentially. So I was just asking about Chelsea fans, and one of them said the way it's going, the beginning of the end is only one, it's only going in one way. It's the beginning of the end here for Maresca. And obviously Chelsea known to be something, a bit fire from the hip at times, but new management came in, they've got Maresca in, they've backed him, he's won some stuff, but then quite quickly, even though they're in a top 4 race, it looks kind of like it's a bit teetering on edge here.
I thought from last year, I thought Chelsea all the way up. They spent a lot of money. It seemed like they spent too much money. They regrouped, sent some players out on loan, some players have gone, kept some players. Won Club World Cup last year. Come back this year, tried to do a title charge. I think they're still in the title charge. You don't think there's no title race no more, or I think they're still in the title charge, 100%.
What, Chelsea?
Yeah, 100%.
Let me get the PL table up. So obviously Arsenal 36, Man City 34, Aston Villa 33, and then Chelsea 5 points behind Villa on 28. But then if United win tonight, we go level with Chelsea. But then you wouldn't put United in the title race, would you? Even though it's the same amount of points. I do think Chelsea are too far from this.
Okay. Do you think they're too far from this as well?
Yeah.
So you just think it's Arsenal and City
the title race, if you can call it that, is between
Don't do this again. Don't do this again, please.
Would you not count Villa in this? 9 wins in a row, 3 points off you.
Yeah, actually, I think you do have to put Villa in.
Not necessarily putting them as bona fide favourites or someone that could realistically go the haul, but in terms of the race right now for
I don't think Villa in the title race. Have you seen the next fixtures?
No, but the way they're playing at the moment, you would have to.
But they've got 9 wins in a row.
Yeah, but maybe the next 3 fixtures, if they get through the next 3 fixtures and they're still in and around the title race.
Well, they're only 3 points behind us.
Yeah.
1 point behind City, so you do have to take them seriously. With Chelsea, I think they're one of those clubs that could impact the title, but they're not necessarily going to win it, if that makes sense.
Then they're going to take points off other teams, a la 1-1 with you, despite being around down.
So,
but do you think potentially there's, is Maresca right to feel this way? Because obviously, I was asking Richard as well, behind the scenes in the office beforehand, and he was basically like, Maresca asked for a centre-back, didn't get a centre-back.
They need a
where you
centre
got
back.
Tosin, and you wanted another centre back, not got him. Cole Palmer's been out and injured.
Mm-hmm.
You've got they wanted a winger, and they got Garnacho, and it felt like Garnacho was kind of forced on Maresca. Kind of, it didn't necessarily seem like Maresca was the world's keenest person on Garnacho. So do you think Maresca kind of might have a point here in that maybe he wasn't given enough leeway to bring in players that he wanted? And then the board didn't quite act completely on his side. And also, Chelsea fans, if you are, like, do let me know in the comments how you think about Maresca's time. Like, who's right here? Because I did see a comment interesting from Ahmed. Said they didn't back him when he asked for a centre-back. They said Tosin was the answer. And then he said, Matt Law is directors' puppets. Directors must leave before Maresca. Then FD Rio Fleor says, the board are clowns. Maresca has overachieved with the squad given. They want him to rotate with lackluster options. The fans have to back Maresca. So it seems the fans are on Maresca's side here, at least from the couple from the comments.
It is January. It is
almost January.
So, are they going back into the transfer market? Maybe he's going to get the players that he does want and he does need. So, what is the situation? Is it just the transfers, or is it more than the transfers in the dressing room?
Well, so this is things that I don't know anything more about Matt Law's report, but I think as far as I know, like Matt Law at least as he at least semi knows his stuff. But he's saying that Maresca's fed up of the board
Already?
like, that's apparently what it says.
If the word on the street
sorry, fed up with having to explain himself eternally. So it seems like Maresca's having to constantly, as you said, explain himself. So, like, if you're being questioned every single time, all the time, you are going to lose faith in their faith in you. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know what your take on Laurie.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Maresca feels that he's been undermined or he's not been fully backed, and he's gone almost as far as to voice that in public. Sort of a la Mo Salah type. It is that kind of they're throwing me under the bus type situation, isn't it? And they're not naming who it is that's done that.
You actually think players shouldn't come out and speak?
I think they can come out and speak, but I think if you're going to come out and speak, it's got to be the appropriate forum and the appropriate time, and B, don't throw like loose statements out there, ambiguous statements like they threw me under the bus or this has been the worst couple of days of my life. When people question you, obviously they're going to question you, then you don't want to provide answers. I just think that it's a little bit cowardly, to be honest. You can't just put stuff out there and then when the inevitable supplementary questions follow, then you then say, oh, well, I've said what I've said. Bro, don't say nothing then. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about it. Unless you're going to go into particulars, then it's probably not worth mentioning it right now. You can have your day to speak when the time is right. At the moment, do your job, and that's that really.
Would this situation really come up?
Professional.
Would this situation come up if they drew against Arsenal and beat Leeds?
Well, this is it.
Yeah.
You have to, again, that's a good point.
Because pretty much with Maresca, what he did in the press conference today was he just refused to expand on it.
Yeah, so why mention it then? Because come on, these guys are not silly. Actually, they're very intelligent. When Mo Salah said that, throwing me under the bus, I don't know who. You know who, bro. You know who, you know what I mean? Stop with the ambiguity, you know what I mean? You know who you mean. Tell us. Otherwise, don't say nothing then, right? But then in a way, Mo Salah's actions were endorsed by the club because he suffered absolutely no penalty for it.
Oh, here's an interesting comment actually from P Dreamer. He says, "I back him, but in some of the times we have lost, we've lost because he overcomplicates the games. The structure is wrong with the politics. We are going with 16-year-old gems, and we need one proven player over 30. I mean, I've said it before about Chelsea that they need. Like, I know, I'm not saying specifically. I know Thiago Silva now is available again because his contract with I can't remember who he was with has been terminated. He's looking for a thing in Europe. But I said, like, when they had Thiago Silva, that was such a quintessential, like,
they need a leader. They need a leader at the back. If they get a leader at the back, then who's their captain? Is it Enzo?
Yeah.
They need a leader.
James,
if they get it's Reece James.
It's like
Reece James has come back very, very good though. He's come back from injury very good,
incredible football player.
But I think all Chelsea need is a top-notch, reliable, that's top form, not like top form right now, centre back. Someone that can lead them, someone that can gather all the youngsters around him. But right now, that's hard to get a experienced leader centre back right now. So like the situation is they have to go spend big money to go and get centre back, and there's like not a lot of centre backs in the market right now.
There's a lot of centre backs in the market, and there are a lot of teams who need centre backs.
Yeah,
you desperately need about two or three.